Good morning, everybody. Good morning. This is JPRP78, and today we're going to be talking about Pokemon Z, because it's never too early to start talking about that third game. I mean, people have been talking about Pokemon Z since, like, X and Y were released. Like, on the day it was released, I remember, like, the exact same day, people were like, oh, what is Pokemon Z going to be like? And that was before, like, Zygarde was even revealed. That was, like, way back in January. So that just shows you how obsessed people are over Z or some sort of sequel for X and Y. So let's get into this. The number one reason why I think there's going to be a Pokemon Z is because of Zygarde Stats. He is going to need some sort of game where he is the mascot, he is a special Pokemon, where he is going to have some sort of ability to get a new form or Mega Evolve. I mean, if you look back at Giratina had a form change, and then Kyurem, who was less powerful than Zekrom and Reshiram, gained Black Kyurem and White Kyurem and became more powerful than Zekrom and Reshiram. But look at these base stats here. A base stat total of 600. Most legendary Pokemon have a base stat total of 680. I mean, let's go back to Mewtwo. He has 680. Groudon has 680. Ho-Oh has 680, Dialga has 680, Zekrom has 680, Xerneas has 680. So, why is Zygarde so low? Why is he way down here at 600? I mean, that's just really low. That makes Kyurem look good, because Kyurem had 660, and even then people were flipping out, being like, oh my god, why is Kyurem so weak? So, Zygarde is, truthfully, a very weak legendary Pokemon. Now, if you guys ask me, like, which do I think is more likely, a form change or a Mega Evolution, I'm going to say a Mega Evolution is more likely because, you know, Z can introduce plenty of more Mega Stones, but we'll get to that later. Now, let's go back to Generation 5. First, we gotta go back to Kyurem, because he was our last guy who was the third member of the trio with Zekrom and Reshiram. Now, the deal with Kyurem was he was the boundary Pokemon. In Black and White 2, he could cross those boundaries to become Black Kyurem or White Kyurem, which basically, if this was Generation 6, they'd be like Kyurem X and Kyurem Y. So, another reason why I think, you know, Mega Evolution for Zygarde could come along, because let's look at this. Zygarde is the order Pokemon. He keeps an order between life and death. Of course, Xerneas is the life Pokemon. Yveltal is the death Pokemon, or the destruction Pokemon in English, because, you know, they want to be kind of weird with their censoring of whatever. So anyway, this is where this next idea comes from. Pokemon XZ and YZ instead of X2 and Y2. Now, this idea came from a fan of mine. I will put the link to his freaking channel in the description below, because this was just a brilliant idea. I mean, I had never even considered this. XZ and YZ? I mean, that just blew my mind for some odd reason. It just did. And I knew as soon as he told it to me, I had to make a video about it right away, because it was just too good to let the thought go. So here's what I think. I think it's going to be like Black and White 2, where the mascots are actually reversed. What if there's like a Zygarde X and a Zygarde Y that allows him to become, you know, a combination of Zygarde and Yveltal, or Zygarde and Xerneas. Now, let's say maybe in XZ, maybe whatever the villainous team is up to is causing more people to live longer, and there's less deaths in the world. And maybe in that game, it's going to be reversed, where Zygarde actually has to merge with Yveltal to bring more death, to bring order between the two. Or maybe in YZ, whatever the evil team is doing, it's causing a lot of people to die, and so because of that, he'll have to merge with Xerneas in a Mega Evolution to bring more people to life, and once again, bring order. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking for XZ, that Zygarde will gain some of Yveltal's power in a Mega Evolution, and in YZ, he will gain some of Xerneas' power in a Mega Evolution. So of course, that's going to bring us to our next topic of Mega Evolution. If there's going to be a Pokemon Z, or a XZ, or a YZ, then there needs to be more Mega Evolutions for older Pokemon. I mean, this was a brilliant idea. At first, like, I hated it, and a lot of other people hated it. I was like, oh, what is this crap? It's like Digimon. So I didn't like it at first, but I gotta say, it was a brilliant idea to bring back old Pokemon that were our favorites and upgrade them in new ways. I mean, that was just an amazing idea by Game Freak. So I think they could do a few more in Z, maybe not go overboard, but just add a few more, you know, Mega Arcanine, please, Game Freak, please, Mega Arcanine, we kinda need it. And besides, how are you gonna leave Swampert and Sceptile out if you have Mega Blaziken? I mean, what sense does that make? I mean, come on. Don't pick favorites, Game Freak. Do not pick favorites. And before we move on to the next topic, I must say that there is something very spoilerous. That isn't the word, but there's going to be a major spoiler if you have not finished X and Y yet, so please continue watching at your own risk. If you do not want the game of X and Y to be spoiled for you, then just pause the video and leave now. Alright, so here we go. Now, a couple of things that they're going to have to change if they want a Pokemon XZ, YZ, or just plain Z is Team Flair, because obviously, as we know, if you've played the entire game, you know that most of Team Flair and Lysandre himself kind of commit suicide in the game's climax. And then Xerosic, I think he gets arrested in the post-game by Looker, so with that being said, obviously either Team Flair is going to have to get dumped completely and they bring in a new villainous team, or they bring in like an old scientist who somehow survived, or some new guy off the street to become the new Team Flair leader and once again revive the team. And the final thing I have to say about what they're going to have to change about Pokemon Z, XZ, or YZ is the lack of legendary Pokemon, because if these games are set in the future like Black and White 2 were as actual sequels instead of a third installment, then they're definitely going to have to introduce like some of those secret legendaries, you know, kind of like Genesect, Meloetta, Keldeo. I think there's already been rumors of like 3 more. I'm not going to spoil anything because I haven't even seen them myself, so I can't spoil anything. But what they need to do with those 3 legendaries, if they do introduce them, is they need to make them actually obtainable in Z and not just mystery gift. Because, I mean, they could probably bring back old legendaries like they did in X and Y. Like, you know, they brought back Mewtwo and the legendary birds in X and Y. But I still think, though, in order to sell more copies of this game, you are going to need some awesome new legendary Pokemon, not just a Zygarde Mega Evolution and call it a day. So that's all I have to say. So now, what do you guys have to say? Do you guys want to see Pokemon Z, or do you want to see XZ, YZ? If so, what would you do for the plot? I mean, there's so many things to speculate about over the next year or two until they decide to actually do something. So be sure to leave your opinions in the comments section down below. Be sure to rate, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys next time.